Imagine a vast expanse of blue dotted with tiny islands and reefs. It looks peaceful from above, but on the surface, these are some of the most contested and dangerous waters on the planet, the South China Sea. For years it's been a flashpoint where international law is tested daily. Giant ships from powerful nations patrol these waters, making claims that challenge national borders. It's a high-stakes game with billion-dollar warships and the livelihoods of fishermen caught in the middle. The tension here is palpable, fueled by overlapping claims to territory, rich fishing grounds, and potential oil and gas reserves. China's sweeping 9-line claim covers most of the sea. Despite international courts ruling, it has no legal basis. Other nations, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Taiwan, and especially the Philippines, are drawn into the struggle. The Philippines, with its long coastline, finds itself on the front line, facing a giant neighbor with a powerful navy. The South China Sea is a critical artery for global trade. What happens here affects the world economy and the rules that govern nations. The Philippine Navy, once seen as one of Asia's weakest, is transforming, determined to defend its rights against incredible odds. This is the story of how a smaller navy is learning to stand its ground, shaking up the established order in Asia's most dangerous waters. It's a story of resolve in the face of overwhelming pressure. The South China Sea is the lifeblood of the global economy. 1/3 of all global shipping passes through here each year. That's over $5 trillion in trade, touching everything from your phone to your car. Any disruption, conflict, or blockade would send shockwaves through the global supply chain. For the Philippines, the stakes are even higher. These waters are their backyard, a vital source of food and income for millions. Generations of fishermen depend on these grounds. When blocked by foreign vessels, it's a direct threat to their survival. The sea is woven into Filipino life, making its defense a national urgency. Beneath the waves lie vast, untapped reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that could transform the country's future. The struggle for control is a fight for economic destiny and self-sufficiency. At stake is freedom of navigation, the right of all ships to pass through international waters without interference. If one country can close off a major waterway, it sets a dangerous precedent for the world. The fight for the South China Sea is a fight for a rules-based international order. For years, the Philippine Navy was a force of aging relics, many handed down after World War II. Its flagship was a floating museum piece, patrolling a modern, high-tech maritime environment. Brave sailors were outmatched and outgunned by modern fleets crowding their waters. With over 7,600 islands, patrolling the vast coastline with a handful of slow, poorly equipped ships was nearly impossible. They faced not just a superpower's navy, but pirates, smugglers, and illegal fishing operations. The navy was stretched thin, often leaving vast areas unguarded and vulnerable. Philippine vessels struggled to respond quickly to incidents. By the time they arrived, foreign ships were already in control. It was a frustrating, often humiliating experience for a proud force. This period exposed a harsh truth. In the South China Sea, a strong defense is a necessity. Diplomacy alone was not enough. Without a credible force, protests were ignored. This realization sparked a fundamental shift. The Philippines could no longer neglect its navy. A new chapter was needed, one of investment, strategy, and national commitment. Life for a Philippine Navy sailor in the South China Sea is a daily test of nerve and discipline. Routine patrols can escalate into tense standoffs in an instant. Small patrol boats often find their paths blocked by a wall of much larger ships. Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels swarm, using aggressive maneuvers to intimidate and obstruct. Water cannons shatter windows, military-grade lasers blind crews, and risky blocking tactics threaten collisions. The psychological pressure is immense. Every decision could trigger a conflict or cede control. Sailors must remain calm and professional even under intense provocation. This harassment is part of gray zone tactics, coercive actions just below the threshold of war. The goal: wear down the Philippines until it gives up asserting its rights. It's a slow, grinding campaign to change the facts on the water without open conflict. For the Philippine Navy and Coast Guard, countering this is now their daily mission. It's a relentless test of will and endurance. Facing relentless pressure, the Philippines chose to fight back, not with size but with smarter, faster, more capable ships. An ambitious modernization program began, replacing old ships with a new generation of vessels. The Navy is acquiring new frigates, corvettes, and offshore patrol vessels designed for 21st century challenges. The Jose Rizal-class frigates built in South Korea are armed with missiles, torpedoes, and advanced sensors. For the first time, the Philippine Navy has credible surface combatants that can stand their ground. These ships are symbols of national resolve, sending a clear message to the region. The modernization extends to smaller, faster vessels like the Acero-class fast attack craft, perfect for patrolling complex coastlines. New technologies, drones and coastal surveillance radar, give the fleet better awareness and rapid response capability. Transformation isn't just about hardware. Sailors are receiving better training and learning new doctrines. Joint exercises with allied navies are sharpening their skills and building cooperation. A modern navy is more than steel. It's the professionalism and spirit of its people. The Filipino sailor is now better equipped and prepared than ever. The Philippines knows it can't face this challenge alone. Alliances are essential for survival in a region dominated by a superpower. The Mutual Defense Treaty with the United States has been revitalized with larger joint military exercises and increased U.S. naval presence. Freedom of navigation operations challenge excessive claims and back up the Philippine position. The Philippines is also building security partnerships with Japan, Australia, and South Korea. Japan has provided new patrol vessels. Australia conducts joint naval patrols inside the Philippine EEZ. This web of alliances creates a united front, showing the world that the South China Sea is a global concern. When a Philippine vessel is harassed, allies are watching. This collective approach raises the stakes for any aggressor. There is strength in numbers. Nowhere is Philippine resolve clearer than at 2nd Thomas Shoal, where the BRP Sierra Madre sits grounded. This rusted ship, a former U.S. landing vessel, is an active outpost manned by Filipino Marines. It's a literal line in the sand, a declaration that the Philippines will not abandon its territory. Resupplying the Marines has become a flashpoint, with China trying to block every mission. Dozens of Chinese ships swarm small Philippine supply boats, creating a dangerous blockade. The Philippines uses assertive transparency, inviting journalists to witness and film these standoffs. This tactic exposes coercion on the global stage, showing the David and Goliath struggle. The BRP Sierra Madre is now a symbol of Filipino courage and ingenuity. Marines endure hardship and isolation. Sailors risk their lives to resupply them. This single ship has become the centerpiece of the fight for the South China Sea's future. The Philippine Navy and Coast Guard are not just sailing new ships, they're using new tactics. One key move, using convoys with supply boats escorted by larger Coast Guard vessels, complicating blockades. Coast Guard captains skillfully shield smaller boats, absorbing water cannon blasts and countering blocking attempts. These are acts of seamanship and bravery, showing new confidence and assertiveness. Coordination between the Navy, Coast Guard, and Fisheries Bureau is tighter than ever. Civilian fishing missions, escorted by the Coast Guard, assert Filipino rights in their own EEZ. These maneuvers blur the line between civilian and state activity, making aggression harder to justify. The Philippines is now proactive, forcing others to react and controlling the narrative through transparency. This shift from defense to assertiveness is fundamentally altering the region's dynamics. The initiative is back in Filipino hands. The Philippine Navy's transformation marks a fundamental shift in Southeast Asia's balance of power. Once a bystander, the Philippines is now a central player, shaping the region's future. Armed with law, alliances, and resolve, it stands up to larger powers and inspires others. The goal, a credible minimum defense, strong enough to deter aggression. Modernization will continue, with new assets and deeper security cooperation. The risks remain. Daily standoffs could escalate into crisis at any moment. The challenge: push back against coercion without crossing into open conflict. The story of the Philippine Navy is a story of hope, a reminder that courage and conviction matter. The future of the South China Sea may well be decided by the bravery of Filipino sailors on the front lines.